So it's this crazy serendipity of like everything they were looking for and everything I was looking for, and all this is happening in the locker room at the Cavs game on Easter Sunday. Listen, I go all around the world talking about StockX. Can I come talk at SwitchYards as an excuse to come to Atlanta and do this? It's true, and I build a rest of the trip around it. So, and that's why I'm here, and so I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I have the exact same story as every other 40-year-old sneakerhead, which is I grew up playing basketball when Jordan played. I always wanted Air Jordans. My mom would never buy me Air Jordans. As soon as I got some money, I bought Air Jordans. Like, we literally all have the exact same story. And so for me, every one of those businesses, if you noticed, right? Serenity, Tech Experts, Quick Strike, you know, Shop Turntable, none of them had anything to do with sneakers. Almost intentionally so. I like almost intentionally avoided creating a business around my personal passion, almost like out of fear of creating a business that was just an excuse to play with sneakers, right? Until I found a really good excuse to play with sneakers. And so I recruited one of my former startup partners on the technology side to help me figure out how to collect eBay data, eBay auctions. This is like early 2012. eBay was still by far the largest resale sneaker marketplace in the world. And so we figured out how to collect eBay auctions. We figured out how to clean that data, and we built a price guide for sneakers. And that's what Campus was. And over the next couple years, 2012, 2013, 2014, it became sort of the default price guide within the sneaker industry. We started selling data to brands, investment funds. But really for me the whole time I was just trying to figure out, like, how do you leave IBM? Like, what is this business? What do you do with this thing? And I talked to everybody in the sneaker industry. Nike, eBay, Foot Locker, Complex, like you name it. And there was never really a good fit of like who to work with and what to do. And then right before Easter of 2015, so about 3.5 years ago now, I get a totally random email from two guys that say, hey, we work with Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert's the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We work with Dan Gilbert. We're really interested in what you're doing. Can we talk? Well, look, Dan's got no ties to the sneaker industry whatsoever. But sure, right? You talk to anybody. So I get on the phone with these guys, and it's like word for word the exact same conversation I had 1,000 times at that point. I didn't think anything of it. And then 2 days later, they call me back and like, we definitely want to do this business. We definitely want to work with you. We'd like to fly you to Cleveland to go to a game and meet Dan. Well, first half of that statement's like, whatever. Everybody says they're going to do shit, right? The second half, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You can fly me to a game, no problem. So I'm telling my wife, my friends, you know, I get to go to a game with the owner of the Cavs. That was the whole story. That's all I thought was coming out of this. These guys were like, you know, it's short notice. Could you come on Easter Sunday? I was like, I'm Jewish. Absolutely. Let's make this thing happen. So the one caveat was my wife was 39 weeks pregnant with our second kid. It's always interesting when I tell that to like 1 or 2 people and like they don't have kids and just it flies right over their head. So the plan was, it was a 3 p.m. game on Easter Sunday. So the plan was to fly in the morning, go to the game, and fly right back home that night. So we get there, we kind of make small talk during the game. Then after the game, we go back in this private owner's room near the locker room. And it's Dan, and there's 2 guys, and me. And we do all the background on me and sneakers and Campus and IBM and blah, blah, blah. When I started Campus in early 2012, I had this roadmap. I had this like one piece of paper I used to take to all these meetings. And it was really simple. There were only 3 things on this piece of paper, right? So the first was a price guide. And that's what we were. We were a price guide for sneakers. And the second was this idea of sneaker portfolios. This idea that if you know the value of 1 pair of sneakers, I can very easily tell you the value of your whole sneaker collection. And you can look at that data the same way you look at a stock portfolio and just track its value over time. And then so the logic was, well, if you understood asset pricing, if you understood portfolio pricing, then perhaps you can create an actual stock market for sneakers. And so that was the idea, but I was very pie in the sky idea. Like, I'm not a developer, there's no way I could have built that. But it was just kind of what I thought made sense with the data. And so I took that piece of paper to every one of these meetings, Nike, eBay, Foot Locker, Complex, and everybody said, oh, that's pretty cool, but what we want to do is this. We want to take your data and do X, Y, and Z in our business. And fair enough, right? Like, I didn't think Nike was going to change their whole business and build a stock market with me. But I share it with Dan and his 2 guys, right? And they look at me with pure shock. And it doesn't really register at first why. And then one of them takes out a piece of paper and he's like, yeah, we have one of those. That is exactly what we want to build, a stock market for sneakers. And I was like, oh. So the crazy backstory of this company is that there was maybe one other guy in the whole world trying to do the exact same thing at the exact same time as me, and happens to be, you know, one of the most successful business people in the world. What the fuck, right? Like, Dan's got no ties to sneaker industry whatsoever. It's been over 3 years, and we literally can't get him to wear sneakers. But I later found out that he's always has a much bigger idea around the stock market of things, that you could buy or sell anything the same way the stock market works. And then he sees his 15-year-old son buying and selling sneakers on eBay, like every other 15-year-old kid. Takes a closer look at that and says, you know what? That's a pretty crappy market leader, eBay, and that'd be a perfect place to start a stock market. So Dan, who's the owner of Quicken Loans and the Cavs and about 130 other companies, and literally the entire city of Detroit, goes out and he puts together a team, unbeknownst to me, to start working on a sneaker stock market. And those guys get a week, 2 weeks into it and realize, well crap, we need a sneaker guy. Who's a sneaker guy that's going to run the sneaker stock market? So they go out, they do some research, they find campus, they find me. Turns out the sneaker guy is also trying to build a sneaker stock market. He's also ran 3 other startups and worked for IBM and wasn't like some random guy. So it was this crazy serendipity of like everything they were looking for and everything I was looking for. And all this is happening in the locker room at the Cavs game on Easter Sunday. So at this point, Dan's like, you got to come out to Detroit to see everything, meet everyone. Everything's based in Detroit except for the Cavs. So it was Sunday. I was like, oh, well, my week's pretty light this week. I'm sure I can come whenever. So his assistant takes out his phone. He's like going through the calendar. He's like, how about like Tuesday, Wednesday? Dan's like, put that away. Why don't you come back on a plane right now? And I was like, okay. So like I text my wife. I'm like, please don't go into labor, right? Text IBM, not showing up at work tomorrow, sorry. So we fly from Cleveland to Detroit, spend all day in Detroit, tour of all the businesses, tour of all the buildings. Monday afternoon in Dan's office, he's like, hey listen, we'd really like you to stay another day to keep talking. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Text my wife, I'm like, please don't fucking kill me, right? Text IBM. I literally wore the same clothes for 3 days in a row. True story. Finally, end of the day, Tuesday, back in Dan's office, like, listen, we all agree, we think this is the right fit, we want to buy campus, want you to come here and run the company. And they finally let me go home. I get home, it's like 1 a.m. on Tuesday night. My wife's waiting up for me. You know, I walk in the door and I was like, yo, I think we're moving to Detroit. She's like, what the hell? I thought you went to Cleveland. That is the short version of 5 years, right? Of me doing this on the side and how we got together. And obviously it led to me selling the company to Dan and becoming partners with him and turning campus into StockX.